guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. So today I've decided to do a highly requested video. Like, I've been getting DMs, I've been getting emails about this, so I was like, let me give the people what they want. Okay, so today I'm going to be going through my visa application process. So I'm going to section the video into 4 parts. There's going to be my application process, my visa process, my accommodation, and my flights. And yeah, man, I really do hope you guys find it helpful. If you guys do have any further questions after this, you guys can just contact me and I will help as best as I can. Just a disclaimer, I'm not an agent, I'm not a visa officer, so I'm just sharing my experience and how my whole process went. And yeah, I really do hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to give like a quick testimony, because I'm a strong believer in that if God does something great for you in your life, you should testify about it, you know, and testify of the goodness of his glory. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I applied really late. And the current processing time for a study permit application is currently 3 months, I think. So I applied really late. I was so stressed the entire time. I was depressed at some point. I was just so sad. Like, this whole process really tested my faith. Like, I was fasting, I was praying. Guys, I've never prayed and fasted like I did during that period. Like, it was a lot. It was really a lot. At some point, I just didn't care anymore. I just given up. I was like, you know what? Maybe this is not for me. Maybe this is not what God wants for me, you know? And just when I was about to give up, my visa came, you guys. Like, I really saw the hand of God. Like, when the Bible tells you that God is never late, God is always on time, that is very true. And I experienced it like firsthand, you know? Like, it was so crazy. God really came through for me. At some point I was like, God, if this is not what you have planned for me in my life, then so be it, you know? Because like, I just didn't see it happening. I didn't see myself starting school in September. But you know, God knows the plans that he has for you. God's will is greater than any other thing in this world. Like, you might not know what he's doing, but God knows, and God does things in his own time. So yeah, I don't want to like start preaching now, but anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to say, like, wow, I really saw the hand of God. I really saw God's grace upon my life throughout this whole entire process and this whole journey, and I really couldn't have done it on my own. Yeah, man, so just know, if you want to like apply for a Canadian visa, you gotta be strong in faith. It's gonna test you, but I'm not trying to scare anyone. It's a relatively doable process, you know? Like, I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I'm just saying it takes a long time. So you just need to be strong, okay? Anyway, so let's get into the video now. So I'm gonna start with my application process. I just want to start off by saying, at first I wasn't like set on Canada, so I didn't really know where I wanted to study, because I remember I completed my A-levels last year in November, and I started like researching and looking for countries. I remember I applied to Canada, I applied to the UK. At some point I really wanted to go to the UK. I also applied to Australia. I applied to Cyprus. I literally applied everywhere, you guys, okay? And I got acceptances from like some of the universities, but for some reason I just kept on waiting for like my Canadian responses, you know? Like, yeah, but anyway, let me stop talking. Anyway, so for Canada, I did not do my applications on my own. I used an agent. I think I'm gonna link his email or his contacts down below in the description box. So if you are interested in using him, then you can find his details in the description box below. However, I am aware that he deals with Zimbabwean applications or / South African, because I was in South Africa at the time, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to assist like other African countries. I'm really not sure, but you can email him and find out. So my application process, I applied on the 15th of March and I got a decision on the 24th of March. So in total it was about 9 days. I got a decision in 9 days. My agent did the application process for me. I just sent him all my documents and stuff, and he did the application for me, and then I got my decision in 9 days. Now onto the visa process. I'm gonna just mention all the documents that I needed, and then I'll go into detail about them afterwards. So you need a valid passport or travel document, a copy of your birth certificate, passport sized photograph, letter of acceptance from a Canadian institution, evidence of sufficient funds to pay the cost of your studies while in Canada for your duration of study in Canada, a police clearance certificate, evidence of previous education, a medical examination, study plan or letter of explanation, title deeds, proof of assets held by your sponsor, a sponsorship letter, and yeah, that is about it. So I'm gonna elaborate more on proof of funds. So basically you need to show a 3 to 4 months bank statement of your sponsor. So if you're sponsoring your own studies, you're gonna have to show your own bank statements. If your parents are sponsoring your studies, you're gonna have to show your parents' bank statements basically, and these bank statements need to show a minimum of 10,000 Canadian dollars for your living expenses as well as your tuition. So tuition can vary from, let's say, $15,000 all the way up to $30,000. So we'll just roughly say about $20,000. So in total you'd need to show like $30,000 for proof of funds to back up your application. Moving on, you also need to get a police clearance just to show that you don't have any criminal records and whatnot. So I got mine at the Subs Criminal Record Center in Pretoria. It costed me about like 100 rand if I remember correctly, and I also got a Zimbabwean one because I am Zimbabwean. I was born in Zimbabwe, so I needed to get that one, as well as one from where I was staying currently, right? So the Zimbabwean one took about a week. That one was quick, that one was okay. But the South African one, that one tested my patience. I applied on the 21st of April and I got it on the 2nd of July. Now, if you're lazy to do your math, I'm gonna tell you that was 3 months in total. I waited for that thing for 3 months. I don't know what is happening because apparently it's not supposed to take that long, but mine took 3 months to come out. And yeah, it was just a lot. The next thing, the study plan. So basically a study plan is a 1-page long document where you just explain why you want to study in Canada, if you looked at other countries, why you ended up choosing Canada, and your future plans and goals. And most importantly, you should mention that you are going to be returning back to your home country. And this is a major reason to people getting rejected. I've seen so many people getting rejected over this. I'll attach the screenshots of how the reason looks like, right? So basically people get rejected because the visa officer is not convinced that you will return back to your home country. So you need to clearly mention in your study plan that you will be coming back home after your studies, and you also need to prove it in like the documents that you will provide, right? I'll get to that. This is basically your home ties. You need to provide proof of assets of your sponsor, and basically what the documents that I provided were my father's title deeds. So his farm title deeds, because he owns a farm in South Africa, his company documents, he owns pharmacies, and as well as the house, his house title deed, basically where we are staying in South Africa. So those are the 3 documents that I provided for home ties / assets and stuff, right? Next is a sponsorship letter. So basically this is a letter that is signed by your sponsor saying that I, name of sponsor, will be sponsoring Tawana, who is my child, for her duration of study in Canada, right? And then it needs to be signed by your sponsor and a notary. Next up is your medical examinations. So I went to the travel doctor in Rosebank, and in total it costed me 3,200 rand. The reason for medicals is because they want to make sure that you are healthy and that you don't have any serious diseases that will complicate things once you're in Canada, or put a strain on Canada's health system, or that sort of thing. So the medicals include a chest x-ray, an HIV test, so they'll take your blood samples, a syphilis test, a serum creatinine test, which is basically showing how well your kidneys work, and vaccinations, right? They also take like random simple stuff like your height, your weight, your eyesight, whether you're pregnant or not, etc., etc. Generally, it doesn't take too long. It's like, I'd say maximum 2 hours. It's not a really long. You have to like go to a specific travel doctor, like a Canadian travel doctor, to get your medicals done. You can just type in on Google doctors for Canadian medical examinations and a list will come up for whatever area you're in. Yeah, so I did upfront medicals. This means that I did my medicals before submitting my application. However, some people submit their application first, then wait for IRCC to send them an email requesting for their medicals, then they go do their medicals. But I just found it more convenient to do upfront medicals instead of having to wait for a request, Now, onto like my visa process, right? So I first paid my first semester's tuition fees, and as well as my rent. I use this also as supporting documents to show that I've already paid my tuition, I've already found accommodation, I'm serious. So I applied for my visa on the 7th of July, and the current processing time is 13 weeks, which is about 3 months. I paid $150 for the visa application fee, plus an additional $85 for your biometrics. So biometrics are basically, this is a letter that you get after submitting your application. I got my biometrics request on the same day, on the 7th of July, and that was a Friday. I then went and did my biometrics on the Monday, which was the 11th of July. Basically what biometrics are is you go there and they take your fingerprints and a photo of your face, basically just for recognition purposes. And then I completed my biometrics on the 11th of July, and they were updated on the same day. Then after this, the wait began. I waited with no update whatsoever. Then on the 28th of July, my application updated and told me that I had passed my medical exam. I was so happy because, I knew I had passed because I'd already gotten my results from like the travel doctor, but like an update is just, it's just like, you guys won't understand how much a little update in your application will make you so happy, because you're just waiting with no idea what is going on. And yeah, so I got my medical update on the 28th of July. After this, it was a waiting game. I waited and waited and waited and waited. Like, I went through so many stages. Like, I fasted, I prayed, I did everything. My family would like have midnight prayers, praying and fasting for this visa to come out, because it just wasn't coming out. Like every week would be like, okay, Monday this visa is coming out, no, then the following week, no, this week it's definitely coming out. And there was just nothing happening, guys. At some point I was just so tired. I remember telling my dad that, you know what, because we went to the VFS to check my application status, of which that didn't help, because they have no one can tell how long it's gonna take. They have no access to IRCC or whatever. You just have to wait. It's just a waiting game. And on our way back, I literally said to him, you know what, I'm tired of praying, I'm tired of fasting, I'm just tired. And that was like, for me to say something like that, you could tell I was really tired. And I'm saying that to my dad, who is a pastor, and I'm telling him I'm tired of praying. You can really tell how much this had affected me. Then finally on the 7th of September, I got a passport request. I remember this day very clearly. Like, I woke up, I was so drained. I think I was even feeling sick from the stress. I was just so depressed. I was just laying on the couch. I was in Pretoria at my aunt's house. I was just laying on the couch, and I remember I called my mom and I'm like, Mama, I've decided that I'm going to defer my intake to January, because the visa is just not coming. Mind you, like 2 weeks ago, my agent had already told me, yeah, it's kind of late now. Like, just defer your intake to January, because I don't think you're going to be able to go this September, right? But my mom and I had faith, guys. We were like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to wait like a few more weeks, or like 2 more weeks. Mind you, school started on the 6th of September. Now this was the 7th of September, and I was like, you know what, I'm done for. Like, it's not coming, it's not happening. And I called my mom and I'm like, Mama, I've decided that I want to defer, because I don't think the visa is going to come anytime soon. And even if it does, I still need to hand in my passport for stamping, which will probably take like another week or so. And I need to get flights, and like, you know, there's just a lot to do even after the visa gets approved, right? So I called her, and she was also very low that day. She's like, I understand and I agree, maybe it's for the best that you just defer, you know. Then cool, my mom and I agreed. We're like, today's the day I'm gonna defer my intake, right? And then I remember I spoke to my aunt as well. My aunt was like, no, Tawana, don't lose faith. I'm telling you, before the end of today, that visa is gonna come. I have so much faith. And in my head, I'm like, bro, we went through this. Like, we understand that you still have faith, but like, we were also hopeful, like you, like every day would be like, no, before the end of today it will be here. Like, I'm just so drained, I can't do this anymore, you know. I just want to defer my intake. So I actually did send the email to the school, and I told them that my visa has not yet arrived. Told them that my visa has not yet been approved, and I want to defer my intake to January, right? Then I sent the email, and I was just lying on the couch the whole day. I was just depressed, I was sick, I was not in a good mood at all. Then I don't know what happened, but in my spirit I just felt, let me check my emails, right? So then I went onto my phone, I went into my emails, and I saw 2 messages from IRCC. And usually when you get like 2 messages in a row, that means a decision has been made on your application. And my heart dropped, like my heart sank. In this moment I was like, whoa, what if it got rejected? But then I was like, what if it got accepted? What if it got approved, I mean? And like, I was shaking, guys. I was literally shaking. My aunt had gone out, I think, to fetch my little cousins from school, and I was just shaking. I was there staring at my screen. I'm like, should I open it? Should I not? Then I went onto my application portal online, and for some reason the network was so slow, which was not helping me. Like, it was just taking so long to open. I eventually opened it, and it said that my application had gotten approved. Guys, when I tell you, I just broke down and I started crying. It was a mixture of happiness. Like, I was just feeling so emotional in that moment. I wanted to scream, I wanted to jump up and down, but at the same time I was just crying and I didn't know what to do with myself. And let me actually read you guys the message that I got. What is that for? Okay, let me actually read you guys the message that I got. It said, so then I called my aunt and I'm like, guess what? And she's like, what, you know? And I'm like, my visa has been approved. Did she not start screaming? Like, she was screaming, guys, and she was in public. She literally said that people were looking at her like, are you okay? Like, did you win the lotto or something, you know? Like, that's how happy she was. And I called my mom. My mom was at work at the time. I told her, and my mom was just in shock. She's like, what? Send me a screenshot. I sent it to her. I called my dad. I told him the same thing. And like, they were like, okay, so since I was in Pretoria, I could literally just go hand in my passport. It wasn't that far away from where I was, right? So they were like, okay, now you need to check if you can go hand in your passport as in today, right? But then the VFS Global closes at 3 p.m. and I think it was just slightly after 3 p.m. So I couldn't. But if I could, child, I was going to drive there. We were going to drive there and hand in my passport that very moment. Anyway, my aunt came back home. And we were just so happy. We were so excited. We were making a noise. We were blasting music and just celebrating and thanking God, because like, no one knows the emotional stress and the emotional toll this whole process like took on us. Like, wow, I had actually given up. In the back of my head, I'm like, I need to like reverse that email. How do I now send them and say, sorry, I don't want to defer anymore, I'm coming this semester, you know? So yeah, it came on the 7th. I was genuinely so happy. And then I went to hand in my passport for stamping the following day, which was Thursday, the 8th of September. And honestly, when I say that I just saw the grace of God, like God's grace was just flowing, because I handed in my passport on Thursday and we prayed that evening. We're like, God, may we experience no more delays from here onwards. Like, I don't want to hear that my passport is in for stamping for a week, because I'm already like 2 days late from school, you know. So like we prayed and we're like, God, this passport will be ready by tomorrow. And surprisingly, on Friday, I got an email saying you can come collect your passport. It's been stamped and everything. And guys, when I say, like, everything just happened in a way that I can't even explain, I can't even begin to explain. Because a lot of people say that their passport takes like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to be stamped, right? But mine got stamped in a day, in less than 24 hours, basically. Like, I was just so amazed. And yeah, so I got it back on the 9th of September, that Friday. Okay, now moving on to my accommodation. I applied to Centennial Place on the 22nd of April. So initially I applied for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but it was sold out. Like, I was put on the wait list and whatever, right? But eventually, yeah, it was sold out. So I got the 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, which costs which costs $1,142 per month, right? And the application fee was $100, non-refundable, and the security deposit was $500. So I got a response on the 25th of April, and my lease agreement was sent to me on the 26th of April. So the whole accommodation process took me about 4 days in total, right? Now moving on to the flights, I used an agent again, because I just didn't want to make any mistakes from now on going onwards. So I used an agent and we booked the flights on Friday, because I remember it was Friday evening. I just gotten my passport back, and we got this agent that was recommended to me by my other aunt, because my cousin used the same agent when she came to Canada. So we booked last minute flights. Guys, if anything, do not book last minute flights. They are expensive, okay? We booked a one-way flight for Sunday, and it costed us 35,294 rand. So I would say, if you can, book your flight tickets in advance, because you don't want to be experiencing additional costs and stuff, you know. But also in my case, it's a case of I couldn't book my flights before I knew whether my visa was going to be approved or rejected. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is, do your things early. I would say start about 8 months prior to like when you want to start school, so that you have time to gather all your documents, you have time to apply for the visa, get the visa, and book flight tickets and find accommodation and everything, you know, because you don't want to be rushing things the way I did, because we incurred a lot of expenses in the end, as everything was just rushed. And yeah, so I used an agent. I would advise you guys to use an agent for your flight tickets, because agents help you in finding layovers that aren't too long, and finding layovers in countries that don't require a transit visa, because I am aware that some countries require you to have a transit visa to like pass through them and go on to the next flight, you know. And you don't want to be like now having to apply for another visa and having stress that you can't go into this country because you don't have the transit visa and whatnot. So agents really do help you in finding like a suitable route for you, you know. Now, okay, so that is the end. Now, questions that I've been getting a lot, frequently asked questions, grades. What grades do I need to get accepted into a Canadian university? I would say I can't answer this question directly, because it varies. It depends on your program of study, what you want to do, and it also depends on where you want to study. So I'll just say, just make sure you do well, so that you can also qualify for scholarships and, you know, that sort of thing. I'm currently not on any scholarships, so I'm paying full tuition and full residence fees and everything, right? did I apply with my grade 12 or grade 11 marks? I did A-level, I did Cambridge, so I did A-levels. I applied with my O-level marks, which is IGCSE, my IGCSE marks, and my A-level marks. So these are the two things that I used to apply. Did I open a GIC account? No, I did not. I just traveled with a Visa card, so I could use my card in all the countries that I stopped by before I actually got into Canada. So yeah, guys, I really do hope this video was helpful and you guys took a thing or two from it. If you are planning to come to Canada, if you do have any other questions, you can ask down in the comment section below, and I'll try my best to answer you guys if I can. So yeah, guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.